Chapter 1: The Gala. There are nights that don't just stay in your memory, they carve themselves into your soul, not because they are magical, but because they unravel everything you thought was safe. This was one of those nights, the one that shattered my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. I remember the exact second it began. A champagne flute slipped from my hand, shattering into glittering shards on the marble floor. The lively hum of the gala, music, chatter, and laughter, faded until all I could hear was the frantic pounding of my heart. Only hours earlier, I'd felt like the luckiest woman alive. But by sunrise, I was walking away from the wreckage, caught between regret and self-loathing, unsure which weighed heavier. That evening was supposed to be a pleasant escape. My closest friend, Emma, had urged me to attend a charity gala downtown. "Bring Michael," she insisted. "You two hardly spend any time together anymore." She wasn't wrong. Our marriage had become a blur of overlapping schedules, passing each other in our home like ghosts. When Michael actually agreed, hope flickered inside me. He even gave me that old familiar smile as he fixed his tie, the one that used to lull me into peace. At the event, we laughed together, and for the first time in months, I felt us inching closer again. For a fleeting moment, I believed we could still find our way back. Then it happened. One of Emma's colleagues, a man I'd never met, asked me to dance. Michael was deep in conversation across the room, so I thought, what harm could it do? It felt harmless, until I saw Michael's eyes on me. His gaze wasn't jealous, but piercing, cold enough to chill me to the bone. Chapter 2: The Silence. When I returned to the table, Michael didn't say a word. He stayed quiet through dinner. He stayed quiet during the car ride home. I should have reached across the gap, taken his hand, explained the dance meant nothing. Instead, I let the silence expand between us, heavy and suffocating. At our apartment, he went straight to the bedroom without looking at me. I lingered in the living room, still in my gown, earrings glinting in the lamplight, gifts from him the Christmas before. When I finally walked in, he was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching me like I was a stranger. "I've been trying to reach you for months," he said, his voice low, strained. "But you're always someplace else, dancing with someone new." I froze. "It was just one dance, Michael." "You know this isn't about that," he replied sharply, rising to his feet. "That's the whole issue. It's never the single moment, it's everything we've let slip through the cracks. It's what we've lost in between." I don't know what possessed me, wine, hurt pride, the sting of his words, but I lashed back. "If you've already decided I'm not worth fighting for, then why are you still here?" The moment the words left me, I knew they were poison. His eyes darkened with a finality I'd never seen. He turned, pulled a suitcase from the closet, and began packing. I followed, begging, insisting I hadn't meant it, swearing I was just angry. But he didn't look at me. "You've been gone for a long time," he murmured. "Tonight just made it obvious." And with that, he walked out. The door closed softly behind him, and that quiet click cut deeper than a slam ever could. Chapter 3: The Mistake. That should have been the end of the night. But it wasn't. I sat on the couch in silence, replaying everything, tearing myself apart for driving him away. Then my phone buzzed. A text. From an unknown number. "You looked stunning tonight. A shame he left so soon." My stomach dropped. Attached was a photo of me with Emma's colleague. His hand lingered lower on my back than I remembered. My smile wider than it should have been. Before I could react, another message arrived. "If you ever want to know what it's like to be with someone who truly values you," followed by an address. I should have deleted it. Blocked the number. Moved on. But anger and sorrow tangled inside me, convincing me otherwise. Michael had walked away without even trying, and that burned. By 1 a.m, I was in a cab, telling myself I only wanted to prove that I wasn't the only one at fault. When I knocked on the stranger's door and he pulled me inside, all my excuses disintegrated. It wasn't passion. It wasn't love. It was a haze of recklessness, a spiral I couldn't stop. A voice inside me screamed to leave, but I silenced it. I left before dawn, my dress wrinkled, makeup smeared. Some part of me still hoped Michael would be waiting at home so I could confess, beg for forgiveness, promise to mend us. But the apartment was empty. On the kitchen counter lay a note. "I came back for you, but you weren't here." I sank to the floor, clutching it in my hand. He had given me one last chance, and I'd destroyed it in the same night. Chapter 4: The Aftermath. For weeks I tried to reach him. My calls went unanswered, my texts unseen. Emma later mentioned she'd heard he'd moved to another city. Months later, someone sent me a picture of him, smiling, arm draped around another woman. His grin brighter than I'd seen in years. And she looked at him the way I once did. I couldn't blame him for moving forward. The blame was mine. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd just gone to bed that night instead of chasing a stranger. If I had stayed long enough for Michael to return so we could finally talk. But wondering doesn't undo the truth. I was the one who destroyed us. The worst part isn't that he left, it's knowing I gave him every reason to. Some people lose love slowly, chipped away by neglect over years. Others, like me, lose it in a single reckless choice that can never be undone. And sometimes, the real punishment isn't abandonment. It's living every day under the weight of the decision that ruined everything.